Okay, so today's topic is the difference between psychic and mediumship, or how we can figure out in ourselves if we're on a soul to soul level or a mediumistic communicator information. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So, that's such a, I don't know that I like how it's been separated out lately as like there's just a psychic category and just a mediumistic category.
Yeah.
Like there's two extremes when really, there's this, for me at least, there's a middle point where the person's soul can also be communicator,
Right.
which would kind of hover between the two, the way we feel it, maybe, which is still legitimate though for one-on-one readings, maybe not from platform, but from a one-on-one reading.
Right. Yeah. We're just talking about one-on-one readings. And, truth of the matter is that the communicator will use their psychic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, all our senses, everything that we have is right. But I think for beginners, one way to figure it out, because I know that seems to be the question, because they don't want to their credit, they don't want to like make it up or do it wrong or whatever. Right. But to pay attention to our own selves and how we're saying things. So if it's, concrete, evidence, about the communicator's life, well, especially if there's stuff that your sitter has to go and look up,
right.
Verify, and then you get to know what that feels like in your body. That's medium, that's when you're with the communicator. Your psychic stuff, maybe it's a different style of information. And some people run on two different speeds, depending on what part of the energy they're in. So maybe they're faster in a soul to soul psychic level, and maybe they're a little bit slower on a mediumistic, or vice versa. So I know some people, when they first start practicing, they can feel it that way on how they speak or how they process.
Right. Right. Well, because the question came up yesterday when I was teaching a class. And basically what I had told the girls was, get to know what your own energy feels like. Because when you're doing a psychic reading, for me, it does feel that energy between me and the sitter, it does feel unified. If that makes any sense, but, so it feels almost as if it's, an even keel, because for me, it's like pointing out the energy straightforward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're doing a mediumistic reading, for me, it's expanding my awareness. So it's not like I have a bubble in my head and I expand it. I mean, if you want to visualize it that way, that's fine. But, it almost feels like I'm reaching up in a sense.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not doing that, but I'm just, just for illustration reasons, I guess you could say that you're kind of reaching up or going forward. Whereas a psychic reading, I feel like I'm going straight forward,
Yeah. And you've I like that, straightforward, because when you're following it straightforward, you also follow that path, whichever way it needs to go for healing at that time, or what's going on with, or their choices. So they have different choices here. And then that path moves out. You're right. It's like a path going forward. It's a road that you can follow along.
And, one of the exercises that I gave is, sitting, you want to call sitting the power, whatever you want to call it. Somebody asked me, were we sitting in the power? I said, it's like a micro sitting in the power. So I had them sit for about a minute, 2 minutes to feel their own energy, what their energy feels like. And then I asked them to call upon spirit to come forward, to come, in their auric fields, and to feel what that energy feels like. Now, for me, because I can only speak for me, because every medium works differently, it feels more, it's subtle, but it feels of a more denser feel, if you want to, almost like a fog. If you could feel a fog, that's how it feels for me. Even though there's no way to fog, if that makes sense.
For which level is the fog for you?
Mediumship.
Mediumship, okay.
So that's how it feels for me, at least. Again, a little bit more subtle and more heavier feel to it.
I don't know that I have a heavier or a lighter feel to any of it for me. And this is good to talk about because everybody's different. They have to figure it out. But it's for me, it's almost like I'm going to pay attention to this now, or I'm going to pay attention to that now. I don't have a lot. I have trouble explaining it because I don't have a direct feeling with it. It's for me, it's just like, I dial, it's kind of like dialing. Well, do we still dial phone numbers? It's like dialing the phone number, and whichever number that is, that's who picks up, whether it's the soul psychic reading or whether it's, I don't have, but I noticed, but for me, I can tell you, for me, I had to pay attention from mediumship to psychic because I was doing the mediumship and I had to like learn to follow the path of psychic because does that make sense?
Yeah.
I had to like go, okay, I want to be here now because my automatic setting was a communicator. I had to,
Right.
and I know some people are the exact opposite.
Yeah, I might be using the wrong words as far as heavy is concerned, because it's going to give the people the wrong idea. It just feels more pronounced, I guess.
That's a great word. Yeah.
More pronounced. That's a better word than heavy, because then people thinking that spirit's going to sit on their chest or something. It just feels like a more pronounced feeling. That's all. And it's subtle though, but it just feels a little bit more there.
Yep.
But as far as when you're doing a mediumship reading, a lot of people, they talk about the message. I'm probably going off line here a little bit as far as the topic. But it's funny when you hear people say, well, let me go get a message. And I tell my students, if you have to go get a message, there is no message.
There isn't, or you're pulling it from that person's soul.
Right.
You've went to that energy, and you've left a communicator.
That's my point right there. Yeah. So we don't know sometimes when people are saying that, let me go get a message, are they really going to get the message, or are they linking in psychically, unknown to them?
Right.
But I just thought about that. Just now. It's nothing I knew. I just thought about that. Are they pulling that from psychic? I don't know.
I think the more we practice, so part of the practice is to pay attention to the energies that are present. So if we're in a practice circle, you can pay attention to how you feel while people are delivering evidence, right? And there's these subtle shifts. So you get to know, oh, well, it doesn't feel like it did 3 seconds ago when they were talking.
Right.
And it's not that the information isn't correct, but did we change channels? I think we changed channels because there's this subtle shift there. And that is so important, I think, to pay attention to while we're practicing. Because sometimes I think in the Zoom rooms, we get on and we wait for our turn, and then we kind of, I don't know, go make coffee or something, because it's just easy to do when we're on. Right. But if we force ourselves for, at least a specific, half hour or something to really pay attention to the energies that are going on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can start to notice, oh, they're with a communicator. You can feel when somebody starts to click in, or when all of it.
Right. Or even when notice the energies that shift when you are doing multiple sittings. For example, if you're in a psychic fair, or I do readings like in a salt cave, or I do them at this winery every other weekend. So especially at the winery, I have quite a turnover of people. Sometimes it's 6 people, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 12. Once in a while it's 1 or 2. Well, whatever the case. But right there and then you can tell the shift, and I do it now on purpose. As soon as they walk in, I can feel it change, or maybe it just changes a little bit, or it drastically changes. You know, you can just sense it. But that is a really good practice to get into, just so you can identify the energies that you're working with.
Exactly. And on a one-on-one reading, you know what, sometimes it may be way more appropriate to start at that quote psychic level,
Right.
depending on what's going on with that person. So with letting yourself be aware of that, you can, now I'm not sure about a fair setting when you only have like 10 minutes or something, you might want to just do one or the other. But when you have that full sitting range and you're taking care of that whole need, you might spend the first 10 minutes in a psychic zone and then move to spirit, or vice versa.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I think, and I think sometimes we put them in so much categories that we forget that when we recognize the energies, we can honor both. We can totally honor both.
Yeah. Well, I think we're tightening up our talks, right?
Yes, we are. Is there any last thing you want to say on this topic?
No, no, but this just gives me an idea of what we should talk about next week.
All right, great.
Talk about psychic fears, multiple platform, something like that.
Okay, so we'll be back next week.
Okay.